Picture this, you're outnumbered like 10 to 1. Mud everywhere, arrows screaming past your head, swords clashing, men screaming, and somehow, you crush the enemy like a legend. Today, we're diving into 10 insane battles in history where the underdogs totally dominated. Outnumbered, outgunned, but never outsmarted. Each battle is packed with guts, glory, blood, and mind-blowing strategy. I'll take you inside the mind of warriors, the chaos of the battlefield, and the genius of commanders. Buckle up. This is gonna be brutal, epic, and unforgettable. 1. Battle of Agincourt, 1415, by English soldiers led by King Henry V, around 6,000 men, standing against 20,000 heavily armored French knights. The English were exhausted, muddy, and freezing, but their spirit was unbreakable. Henry positioned them on a narrow, muddy field, where the French numbers wouldn't matter much. Longbowmen rained arrows like death from the sky, piercing armor and sending horses crashing. French knights slipped in the mud, fighting desperately, as the English held their line with discipline and courage. By the end, 1,600 English dead versus 10,000 plus French. This wasn't luck, it was strategy, courage, and heart. 2. Battle of Thermopylae, 480 BC, by 300 Spartans and 7,000 allies, facing 100,000 Persian soldiers. Imagine the tension, a narrow mountain pass, wind whipping through cliffs, the smell of sweat and blood thick in the air. Every Spartan knew death was near, yet their courage burned brighter than the sun. King Leonidas led them, shouting orders as Persian waves crashed again and again. The Spartans' phalanx formation held the pass, shields locked, spears piercing enemy after enemy. 3 days of relentless fighting, every Spartan a hero, every Persian frustrated by the impossible defense. Even in death, their valor became legendary, inspiring generations. 3. Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC, by Alexander the Great with 47,000 Macedonians, facing 250,000 Persians under Darius III. Alexander observed the battlefield with sharp eyes. His troops, tired from long marches, were still full of courage and trust in their commander. He flanked the Persians, exploited gaps in their formation, and struck directly at Darius, the Persian king. Panic rippled through the massive army. Macedonians fought with precision, bravery, and relentless aggression. By the end, the Persian Empire's greatest army had been routed, and Alexander's legend was forged. 4. Battle of Rorke's Drift, 1879, by 150 British soldiers, defending a small fort against 4,000 Zulu warriors. The soldiers patched barricades, loaded rifles, and prepared to die. Zulu warriors screamed as they charged in waves, fearless and relentless. Lieutenants John Chard and Gonville Bromhead directed their men like gods of war, turning the fort into a deadly trap. Every shot, every swing of a bayonet counted. By sunrise, the fort still stood. 11 Victoria Crosses awarded, testament to sheer courage against impossible odds. 5. Battle of Austerlitz, 1805, by Napoleon's 73,000 French soldiers, facing 85,000 Russians and Austrians. Napoleon faked weakness, luring the Allies into traps. His troops attacked with perfect timing, crushing the enemy center and flanking their forces. Soldiers' morale soared as they advanced through chaos. French discipline, courage, and tactical genius made underdogs into legends. 6. Battle of Kenny, 216 BC, by 40,000 Carthaginians, surrounding 80,000 Romans in an epic Themistocles' genius naval strategy turned the impossible into victory, saving Greece from annihilation. 9. Battle of Vienna, 1683, by 70,000 defenders including Poles and Austrians, facing 150,000 Ottoman troops. Polish winged hussars charged like thunder, breaking Ottoman lines. Defenders' morale burned with courage. Victory against impossible odds. 10. Battle of Marathon, 490 BC, by 10,000 Athenians, facing 25,000 Persians. Phalanx exploited Persian overextension. Greek soldiers fought with every ounce of courage, holding ground against overwhelming numbers. Glory won, Athens saved. 11. Battle of Kosovo, 1389, by 12,000 Serbian forces, standing against 40,000 Ottoman troops. The Serbs dug in, fortified their position, and prepared for the worst. Prince Lazar inspired his men, preaching courage and sacrifice. The Ottomans charged relentlessly, screaming, swords swinging, horses trampling. Serbian soldiers fought with fierce determination, striking at the enemy with precision despite being outnumbered. Shields clashed, blood soaked the earth, every inch contested. Even as Prince Lazar fell, the valor of his troops echoed through history, making their sacrifice immortal. 12. Battle of Stamford Bridge, 1066, by 15,000 Anglo-Saxons, surprising 10,000 Viking invaders. The Anglo-Saxons marched overnight, fueled by rage and loyalty to King Harold. They caught the Vikings off guard, hand-to-hand combat erupted instantly. Axes swung, shields splintered, warriors screamed as the river ran red. Harold's men pushed with fury, taking no prisoners, turning the tide with strategy and sheer aggression. Exhaustion was ignored, morale soared. Vikings were crushed, fleeing or falling in glorious chaos. 13. Battle of Hastings, 1066, by 700 Normans under William the Conqueror, facing 7,000 Anglo-Saxons. Normans feigned retreat to lure Saxons off high ground. Archers unleashed a storm of arrows, cavalry trampled the exhausted infantry. Normans fought with precision and ferocity, exploiting every weakness. Shields were shattered, spears broken, screams echoing across the battlefield. William emerged victorious, and England's fate was sealed, a testament to cunning and courage. 14. Battle of Adrianople, 378 AD, by 15,000 Romans, ambushed by 30,000 Gothic warriors. The Romans marched confidently, unaware of the Gothic trap. Suddenly, cavalry hit their flanks, chaos erupted. Soldiers fought desperately, the ground shook with hooves and swords. Romans were surrounded, struggling to hold lines, panic spreading. Discipline was tested, bravery burned bright but was not enough. The Gothic cavalry slaughtered relentlessly, teaching Rome a brutal lesson in tactics and humility. 15. Battle of Lechfeld, 955, by 10,000 German troops under Otto facing 15,000 Magyars. Otto's soldiers braced, knowing the enemy relied on speed and archery. Heavy cavalry charges smashed Magyar formations, infantry held firm. The Germans pressed relentlessly, morale high, each soldier fighting for homeland and honor. Magyars scattered, victory was decisive. Europe shifted power, thanks to courage, discipline, and tactical genius. 16. Battle of Stirling Bridge, 1297, by 1600 Scots led by William Wallace and Andrew Morrick, standing against 9,000 English soldiers. The Scots waited patiently at the narrow bridge, knowing every step of the enemy counted. When the English advanced, the Scots struck, cutting off retreat, ambushing with swords and spears. Chaos erupted, morale soared as Scots fought with fury and cunning. Every arrow, every blade swing mattered. English forces crumbled. Wallace and Moray's courage became legendary symbols of resistance. 17. Battle of Plataea, 479 BC, by 40,000 Greek allies, confronting 120,000 Persian invaders. Greek hoplites charged in disciplined phalanx, shields locked, spears thrust forward. Persians tried to hold, but the unity and morale of the Greeks proved unstoppable. Lines shattered, dust and blood filled the air, warriors fought until exhaustion. Freedom defended, legends forged, history remembers their bravery. 18. Battle of Poitiers, 1356, by 700 English soldiers under Edward the Black Prince, facing 20,000 French troops. Longbows fired with deadly precision, defensive positions held firm. French nobles charged recklessly and were captured or cut down. English soldiers were exhausted but relentless, courage driving each strike. Strategy and morale triumphed over numbers. The Black Prince's tactical brilliance turned underdogs into legends. 19. Battle of Midway, 1942, by 4 U.S. aircraft carriers with pilots and crews, against 7 Japanese carriers. American intelligence intercepted enemy plans. Every pilot knew stakes were life or death. Dive bombers screamed down, torpedoes launched, explosions everywhere. Planes were shot down, decks burned, chaos engulfed the sea. But U.S. carriers held and struck critical blows. Morale and coordination turned the tide, flipping the Pacific War upside down. 20. Battle of Zama, 202 BC, by 35,000 Roman soldiers under Scipio Africanus, facing 40,000 Carthaginians with Hannibal. Romans disciplined, countering Carthaginian elephants, flanking enemy units, striking relentlessly. Infantry held formation despite the roar and chaos of battle. Hannibal's troops fought with courage, but Scipio's strategy and the indomitable morale of Roman soldiers carried the day. Rome emerged victorious, a moment that defined history.